The play we like to run is called Signal Serendipity. You need two things to do it. You need a signal platform like Vector and a way to get the outreach delivered to that prospect, like a Smartlead. The play itself is how do we use signals not as the reason we're reaching out, but as the reason to create serendipity. So you need something like Vector saying, hey, I know this prospect is on my website, or I know this prospect's not on my website, but what you don't want to do is use that as the message itself. You want to basically provoke this feeling of like, wow, what great timing that you're reaching out. We were just researching that. So you need to create a message that's relevant, well-timed, and can get into that prospect's inbox. I'm the CEO and co-founder at Vector. We're working with companies like Pylon, Chameleon, Podium, Close. In fact, a majority of the big logos that you would expect in MarTech or Revenue Tech. In fact, we've got the logo you probably know. We're powering, I think the last I heard is like 70% of the pipeline that they generate is coming from Vector and their contact-based marketing and intent strategies. Vector's really good at surfacing interesting signals about like who's on and off your site, but they don't care that you saw them on the website. They don't care that you saw them researching, right? That is sort of the selfish signal that allows you to understand there's some relevance there. The goal should be to create serendipity. Like when you're talking to your partner about a new litter box you need for your animal, and all of a sudden you start to get surrounded by retargeting ads, right? That's the experience you should create, is this like signal serendipity. It's just like, you should try to invoke the reaction from your prospect of like, wow, what great timing. I was just thinking about this. I was just researching this, or I was actually just on your website. How did you know? That's the experience you should have. And you need two things to do that. You need a great signal platform and the ability to deliver that message consistently, reliably to your prospect. Here's all the different ways that you can use Vector and the different templates and playbooks that we have out of the gate. Specifically, this play right here, alerting sales of high intent visits, is how we use Smartlead to generate a ton of pipeline. The way that that works is very simple. We have a 3-step playbook that we push into Smartlead. One is we're using Vector to de-anonymize all of our site visitors, but we want to make sure we have the opportunity for high deliverability, high response rate. We're filtering all of those site visitors in Vector by the accounts that we care about most. Then we're pushing those straight into Smartlead, where Smartlead then takes care of all of the sending and orchestration of making sure that we can actually deliver and get responses from our prospects. Being able to send messages to our target accounts when they land on the website is just one sort of filtration. What we can also do is start to take in different parameters around what page did we see them on, what campaigns do we want to run when there's certain opportunity stages that are open, right? The way that we would treat someone that's brand new, that hasn't engaged with our team versus someone that's, in flight of an opportunity. We can create different experiences in Smartlead on what the messaging is. And that's what really leads to that signal serendipity, right? Everyone's getting that right time, right message. And it feels like, man, this is great timing. Thank you for reaching out. And you don't even have to reference the fact that you saw them on your website. Here's an example of someone that used our own technology to prospect me, and it got my attention. They reached out, and I had been on their website, but they didn't reference that as the reason they were reaching out. Instead, they referenced an issue that was highly relevant and researched using my persona. They said, hey, typically people at your stage in your role are running into this issue. Then they followed it up with some sort of social proof, like, hey, we've actually seen other CEOs run into this problem and have to pay lots of money bailing themselves out of it. Are you running into this issue? What I loved about this, and the reason that this got my attention, is it didn't, again, use my visit as the excuse to reach out. They contextualize it into a pain that I was actually experiencing. The outcome here is I responded and they got a meeting booked with me. This sort of contextualized signal serendipity and then using Smartlead to orchestrate and send the outreach is the exact thing that we're doing with our customers to help them generate over 70% of their pipeline.